Hey Flosstube, it's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I'm here this weekend with a tutorial. What you see in front of you are the supplies that I used to make this. It's just a little box that I've painted and waxed, and inside I've made there's a magnetic strip here, a place that you can put your small embroidery scissors, and also a place where you can park your needles while you're stitching. This is great when we're going to retreats or you're going to a friend's house to stitch. You can put your supplies in here and lay it on the table so you always know where your scissors are, and you have a place to park your needles when they're not in use instead of letting them roll to the floor like I've done many times in the past. So I'm going to show you what you need. This box here started out like this. I got this box from the unfinished wood section of Hobby Lobby. It was, I believe, $1.99. It has a clasp and hinges here. And I believe that it is called a card box. So I imagine you store playing cards here. I also bought this paint. This is Heritage Brick. This is Americana Deco Art acrylic paint. This can also be purchased at Hobby Lobby. I believe they're like $1 and some change. I also have some Eileen's Tacky Glue, Brie Wax. Also at Hobby Lobby in the wood section, you can get these strips. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. You can see they were $3.99. And it's just very fine sandpaper to finish the box up after painting. I bought some of the sponge brushes, sponge or foam brushes, for painting and for waxing. And at Walmart in the school supply area, they have these adhesive magnetic strips, and they have a sticky back. So you'll pull the paint, you'll cut it to size, and we'll peel the back off and stick it. Of course, I've got a ruler. I've got some fabric of my choice, some small pieces of batting. How puffy you make that pincushion is up to you, but we'll get to that in a minute. I also have some double-sided tape, a pair of scissors, and then this is just some cardstock board. This piece I believe I got out of a pack of sheets, bed sheets, bed linens that I had received, had purchased. And I never throw these away. I keep those for finishing ornaments or whatever. You can also use, or I have in the past used the back page of a notebook that that holds paper, a spiral notebook. So just know that you can use those items instead of going out and buy them. And let's get started. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I plan to try to locate all of these items on either Walmart.com or Hobby Lobby and link them below, so that you will know what they are. Everything here has been purchased at either Hobby Lobby or Walmart with the exception of the Brie Wax, and I did order that online from Amazon, and I believe that was $19.99, but it's a 1 pound container, and it does have a waxy, smell, but it's not as strong as the ones here, and I think this comes from England, or is made in England. So we're going to start off with this box, and I'm not going to go through step by step, meaning I'm not going to actually do the steps with you, but I want to show you what I did. So I started off with a box. It is a little rough when you fill it. Some of them are more rough than others. And what I did was took a sponge brush. I took a sponge brush and I painted the inside and the outside. The hardest parts, of course, is getting around the hinges and in the corners. So be careful with your brush, not too rough. As you can see right here, there's a little crease, and it's where the plastic padding that actually lets it flex inside has cut a hole, and it means I've just put too much pressure when I was painting. But you've got 2 options. You can do like me, like I've learned to do, and just paint around them and wash the paint off later or scrape it off later. Or you can take these tiny little screws with an eyeglass screwdriver and remove them. But I do counsel you that if you do that, make sure you do a diagram and put them back exactly where they were. For some reason, it will close differently depending on where those specific screws are. Don't ask me why, but it does. So that is why now I always paint around the edges of as best I can with a fine brush, and what I get on the hinges I will just scrape off later. So once you get it painted, and this one of course is unfinished, once you get it painted, it's going to look like this. And this one, you hear that? It's very rough. So what I do is I take this paper, this sandpaper will tear very easily. So I tear it and then I sand the box. I pay a little more attention to the corners because I like it to have an aged look. So I will sand it down to the actual wood. But I want you to see the difference between the painted and the painted and waxed. This one, you can see the sheen on it. It has been waxed. This one just has paint. This one has also been sanded, so you can see the difference. So once you get it painted, you're going to sand it down very well. Also pay attention to the insides. Plan ahead. Don't waste your time sanding the places where you're going to put your adhesive magnetic strip or your pincushion. And I say that because it's going to be covered. Also, that adhesive strip is going to stick better on a rough surface than it will a smooth surface. So plan ahead, and like with mine, I put the strip at the top and the needle pincushion at the bottom, and so you know not to paint these two quadrants. Once you have completed the sanding on this piece is when you're going to start with the brie wax. Let me get it open so you can see what it looks like. Just a second. Oh, I closed it a little too well, so I'm going to take the edge of these scissors and pry it open. Don't worry, these are not my embroidery scissors. They are my crafting scissors. This is what the wax looks like. And like I said, it does have a smell to it. You can see I've already finished my glass box that I showed in my last video, as well as a couple of these boxes here. And I've not used very much of it. So you're going to use your sponge brush, and you don't have to put much on it. Just dab your sponge brush into your brie wax and paint it onto your box. And then it's going to end up looking like this one. This one has not been buffed. You can see where I got it into the hinges. I will also say, I did not paint the inside or wax the inside of this one yet because I've not buffed it. But be careful when you're painting into your corners. You can get a lot of wax in there unintentionally, trying to make sure that it's covered, and then it looks very dark. I don't necessarily dislike that, but some of you may, so I want you to be aware. And in the corners, it's hard to buff that out. But as I said, once you get done with the waxing, you get it spread on. This is what it'll look like. Okay? So you go from this to this. Then you're going to get a dry cloth, and I would say an old t-shirt, an old bath towel or washing rag that you have in your bathroom or in your kitchen, and you're going to buff this wax off really well. And you can see this is what it is before it is actually buffed, and this is after. So it has a really good sheen after. This is with one coat. You can make it shine a little more with multiple coats, but I'm going to stick with just one buff. So then there's this. So I've went ahead prior to the video, and out of this cardstock paper, I've already cut out a template. I will also let you know that these cutouts here, you can see, even though measuring, each one of them are not the exact same size. So you can cut it to the shape. It's easier to cut it larger than it is to cut it large and size it down smaller. than in the reverse. So don't worry about it if you cut it a little too big. Just trim it down a bit. And there it slips in fine. So once I get this piece, I'm going to use it as a template to cut my batting. So I have 3 layers here, just as I did in the finished box. So I cut those down, but the one in the center is a tiny bit smaller than the others, because when I put the fabric over the top, it will push down the edges of the piece that's on top. And so it will be more rounded on the edges. So this is the fabric I've chosen. And what I'll do is I'll size this down as well. You can lace the back like we do with many of the items that we stitch, or we can use double-sided tape. And so for this one, I planned on using double-sided tape. Be frugal with your tape. You see how wide this strip is. Cut this piece into strips. Measure it down to the width you need and cut it into strips. So you can get 3 or 4 pieces out of this to cover the edges. So once you get this complete, you're going to do the same thing with your magnetic strip. Once you finish this into a pincushion, you're going to cut a piece to go inside of the magnetic strip. And you can see this one is a tiny bit large as well. So I would shave that down to put inside, and I will do that well, let me do it now. And here you go. And I still have a little bit more to cut off on the edge. And that's what I said. Cut it in little slivers. Don't cut big pieces off, because once you cut it off, you can't put it back on. But if you don't cut enough, you can always cut a little more. And so that fits in there. And I'm not going to pull the back off of this for this demonstration, as I still need to finish the inside of this. And the inside edges here. But that'll go in, and I will also tell you that I found with my own, yes, the adhesive strip sticks better with the unfinished wood, but it never hurts to take your Eileen's tacky glue and put a few dots inside prior to sticking this in to hold it. The first one I made stuck for a while, but I think it was just the heat, because it's so hot, it's summer, that it caused it to come loose. So once it did, I put the Eileen's just to give it a little extra hold. And I did the same with my pincushion once it was finished. So we're going to, as I said, we're going to use the double-sided tape to fold this over and hold it in place. And then we'll put a little bit of tacky glue inside here. And by then it'll look closer to this. It'll be a lot more neat. But we'll slip this in here, and it'll look just like this one. Alright. And that'll be it. It would be all finished. I know this was a quick tutorial, and I understand that there may be questions. Please don't hesitate to ask them. I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you go out and make one of your own. Happy crafting. Happy stitching. Bye-bye.